Well, I can promise you one thing, I won't be booking any flights on this airline. Hey guys, welcome to Happywax TV. So tonight we're talking about Exorcism at 60,000 feet. This movie kind of caught me off guard because I never saw the trailer for it. I had only seen the poster, and the poster's banging. Whoever made that is like, good for you, because it's one of the better low-budgeted horror movies, you know, that has like a killer poster. So, but anyway, I knew nothing about this movie other than the title, so I assumed that there was some sort of an exorcism and it was going to take place on an airplane. I was probably a good 10 minutes into this movie, maybe 15 minutes, and then I realized, I was like, this is a fucking comedy. This isn't like, this is horror, but it's a comedy. I didn't realize that. So, but you know, and I got a little worried, okay, because a lot of times when you have these low budgeted horror movies, and trust me, this is low budget horror, so you have to go in with that mindset, or your brain will just shut off. But I'll tell you, you know, I was a little worried because a lot of times these low budget horrors, the comedy doesn't always work. But I mean, the first and second act, the third act we'll get into later, but the first and second act, the comedy in this movie was, I don't remember the last time I laughed that much at a low budget horror movie. I thought it was fantastic. It's that Gonzo style of horror. And I mean, what makes this movie, you know, for the most part watchable, again, I say for the most part, is that it never once takes itself seriously, and it's so over the top, and it puts that out there, like it works, and you know what I mean. Like, this isn't a great movie, and it's one of these movies where I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I'm just kind of right in the middle of it. But I mean, I didn't find it a stretch to get through until the third act, which again, I'll get to in a minute, but let's get through this part. So it's directed by Chad Farron, and I mean, it's got some fairly good names in here, and there's a lot of references to other movies. Well, first, even just the name, Father Romero, played by Robert Miano, he's kind of the main character. And then Lance Hendrickson is in this, and I saw that, okay, in the IMDb listing before I watched this, and I thought, okay, this is going to be another classic Lance from the last like few years where he does these 30-second cameos. But you know what? I was pleasantly surprised because he was in this movie quite a bit. He plays one of the airline captains, Captain Howdy. And I was impressed. I mean, he had tons of lines. Near the end of the movie, he was like cracking one-liners, and I enjoyed it because I really do like Lance. And the more I get to see him, the better. But it's just, like I said, as of late, he's just been doing these, like, you know, 30-second, 1-minute cameos just so they can put his name on the poster. And I seriously thought this was the case for this movie, but no, he's in it quite a bit, which is good. Bill Moseley is in this. Who else? Adrienne Barbeau, which was nice too. And she actually had, you know, a fairly decent scene. There was a good scene with her too, where she gets her scalp ripped off by her dog, which was awesome. And then, but I'll tell you, the two people that steal the show for this movie are Bei Ling and Matthew Moy, and they play like the stewardess on this airline, okay? And I'll tell you, man, their scenes are fucking hilarious. Whether you like low-budget horror movies or not, like even just for the puke scene on the plane in this movie, it is worth watching this movie. Like, it was awesome. Those two together, I hope they do more work together, especially comedies, because they were on fucking point, man. I loved their scenes together, and they really kind of held, you know, whatever glue there was to kind of hold this movie together, and it worked. The synopsis is, on the last flight of a transatlantic passenger airplane, a priest, a rabbi, and an airline crew team together to save a plane from a pandemic of demonic possession, and that... it's pretty much this movie. The opening scene, pretty much the opening scene and first act is we're introduced to Father Romero, and he's exorcising this demon out of this family. That is kind of, well, I mean, the demon has killed everyone in this family, but it's kind of like the Exorcist style, shot in that type. And then he is going to, I think it's Vietnam, I believe it is, or or Taiwan. I can't remember exactly where he's going, but he boards this plane, and the entity follows him onto this plane, and then throughout the plane ride, it jumps from passenger to passenger and infects them, and then they wreak their havoc. And so he pretty much spends the entire second act and into the third act, trying to exorcise this demon from different passengers. And there's all types of passengers. There's like a monk on here. We've got the 2 Asian stewardesses. There's a rabbi. There's like a bodybuilder. There's a mother that has this, it's supposed to be her younger son, but it's actually a midget or a dwarf. I apologize. I'm not sure the term you're supposed to use, but do you know what I mean? And it's just this in your face kind of comedy. There's a vegan on here who's like constantly sick, and it just works. There's the senile old lady played by Adrienne Barbeau, and she's got her dog with her, but the dog's dead. It's just this in your face kind of Gonzo style horror. And for the first 2 acts, I would say it works. And I was like literally laughing out loud. And, again, this is a low budget horror movie and you have to go in with that mindset. And I thought, wow, this is banging. But the unfortunate thing is when you get into the third act, I don't know what happened. It's like the train came off the track, because what was working in the first 2 acts, I don't know, everything all of a sudden just kind of got congested and convoluted, and there were scenes that didn't make any sense, and it almost seemed like they didn't have an end of script, and they just asked the actors and actresses to kind of ad-lib their lines. That's what it felt like to me. Like, it was really jumbled, and I don't know, man. The third act was, God honestly, was terrible. You know what I mean? Like, I would have given this movie a higher mark, but I don't know, man. I don't know what happened in the third act. They ran out of steam. But the first 2 acts I thought were fantastic. So, I mean, and again, for the most part, the humor worked. There were some jokes that I thought, were kind of stupid or didn't need to be in there. But man, oh man, like, there was a lot of silliness in this movie, and it did work. So to give this one a rating, I'd probably give it a 5. Right on the line there. But it's a shame about the third act. It's just, I don't know. But I mean, what does save this movie? And again, this is just my opinion, okay? So I know for a fact that a lot of people will watch this and absolutely shit on this movie. And, again, it's low budget, and it's I don't know. They may have tried to be too funny, because again, some of the jokes didn't work for me, but there were some moments in this movie that were just fucking hilarious. The other thing too that I found, like Bailing and Matthew Moy, they've exaggerated their Asian accents, but there were some other accents in this movie, like the bodybuilder guy and a few other people, and I could barely understand what they were saying, and I don't think they did that on purpose. So, but there was some dialogue in this movie, and I had no fucking idea what was said. So I don't know if it was meant to be like that, but I don't think so. But I do know, and I could just tell that these people had a blast making this fucking movie. So now, whether or not as an audience member you're going to have as much fun watching this, I don't know. It's right on that line. So, but anyways, give it a watch. If you have seen it, let me know what you think. Again, the first 2 acts, you'll get through those no problem. There's definitely some scenes where you'll laugh. The puking scene on the plane is fucking hilarious. But when you get into the third act, it just, I don't know, the wheels come off, and it just kind of, the plane just nosedives into the ground, unfortunately. So anyways, check it out if you haven't seen it. And if you have, leave me some comments down below what you thought. Again, low budget horror, so you have to go with that mindset. But yeah, Exorcism at 60,000 feet. Holy shit, that's a tongue twister. Exorcism at 60,000 feet. Let me know what you guys think. And as always, stay scared.